As you think of your questions, I'm going to just pose the first question to His Holiness. And I want to pick up on the idea that he was talking about at the end about democracy and totalitarianism. And I want to speak about India and China. These two great countries, the largest countries in the world. And India is the most diverse country in the world, ethnically, religiously, linguistically, and yet it has managed to hold together as a democracy. And Tibet finds itself between these two countries. Might you speak with us for a moment about how these two countries represent two ideas and how this might play out for the future of the world?
India, most populated democratic country. And because of, you see that, I think because of democracy and rule of law, although some pockets here and there, some drawbacks there, but basically, you see, the complete freedom of media and rule of law, democracy. I think because of that, this country, as you mentioned, in spite some because of the difficult situation, but this country, most stable country compared neighboring states. Of course, in some extent, I think individual leaders also make some differences. But basically, the system, democratic system, and the constitution based on secularism, these are really produce good result. Then China, I think communist totalitarian sort of system in European continent in early 20th century, around I think 1917, around that, this is that sort of country, you see, a system with totalitarian communist system, this is developed. But within same century, that changed. That change not by outside force, but people themselves. Now China, People's Republic of China. One way, after the Deng Xiaoping sort of as the leadership, you see, he realized China remain isolated, not good for interest for People's Republic of China. So you see, he opened a close relations with outside world. So that I think what's the economy of the liberal way, economy what's it, more openness, the economic field. It really helps a lot of millions of Chinese. I think the difficult sort of economic situation now much improved. Still, over I think what's it, 1.45 billion of populated nation. The economy is very important. Now today, some problems. So that I'm not economist, I'm not expert, but some people say, unless political system, some change, this kind of difficulties will remain. So great nation, China, now most populated nation on this earth, and Chinese people, I usually see describing Han people are hardworking. Sometimes I think you hear 1.2 billion of Indians. Sometimes in the heat, relax. kind people, more hardworking. And really, we can say 5,000-year-old cultural heritage. So I don't think this kind of, in a way, I think inhuman system, eventually Chinese people will accept. So like Liu Xiaobo, these people already sort of express. Because of fear, many people remain silent. But inside, now I notice many party member, outwardly party member, inside something different. So such a great nation, you can't survive that way. You have to become more realistic. So the political system, democratic, open society, is the only way future of China. So, like my sort of friend, yeah, you see, at this moment, your contribution may not be very significant, but you see, please carry continuously. And eventually, I think the sensible over 1 billion Chinese brothers, sisters, I think they really want some change. Within the country, difficult to express publicly. So from outside. And then one advantage, now thousands Chinese students is now sending Europe, America, and sometimes I also, suggested to some of my Indian friends, India also should welcome more Chinese students.
Sure.
And then one sort of particular case, India is all Buddhist, important Buddhist sites within this country. So like you see, Muslim brothers, sisters who go to Mecca,
Yes.
there are some special arrangement. And also you see, pilgrim to Mount Kailash, also some special arrangement. So similarly, you should provide some special arrangement. The millions of Chinese Buddhists who want to take, pilgrim in this country. So through that way, you see, they closer feeling. Sometimes you see leaders, I think like former Soviet Union. When my first visit there, 1979, I noticed the Soviet people, the government, I think deliberately create some kind of impression. Unless Soviet ready militarily, West going to attack them. Then I know, 1973, I already visited Europe. There I found many people in Europe, they would fear. Unless, you see, something is prepared, Soviet may attack, or Warsaw Pact may attack. So in Soviet Union, the opposite sort of impression. So these, and then the construction of a Berlin Wall, these things, out of fear, I think in deep inside, lack of self-confidence. So in any way, not too much. Too much, you see, these things. So therefore, you see, as I mentioned earlier, you see, the close contact. So India, I think, should India should consider let know millions of Chinese Buddhists and Chinese students about, you see, India's. Sometimes some tourists, you see, a few days, you see, or few weeks, and then I think they may get the impression, the complete freedom of India's cow. on street. Like one time, I remember the Tintin's Kasade, the comet. You see, I think very beautifully. You see, that captain or something. You see, his car crashed one cow, like that. So there are, you see, some little bit sort of careless things there. But if they spend more time, then they will realize India's freedom, India's democracy. So that's very important. I feel that. So eventually, I think, and then once, you see, develop more familiar feeling each other, and trust come, then this border issue, these things easily can solve. So long some distrust there, even small things then create more difficulty. That's my view.
His Holiness, thank you so much for remembering Liu Xiaobo. I mean, I hope that we'll welcome Liu Xiaobo to a conference of the Asia Democracy Network and the World Movement for Democracy before too long, and he should know that he's not alone. Thank you very much for remembering him. We have time for other questions. If somebody wants to raise a question, I see a hand in the back. Please, yes. And say who you are and where you're from. I think His Holiness would like to know, and you'll get a microphone.
My name is Tenzin Pinsok, and I represent the National Democratic Party of Tibet as its General Secretary. I have only one question for His Holiness. How can religion play an important role, any religion for that matter, in promoting and deepening the democratic process in this world? Thank you.
Sure. Of course, you see, among Tibetan, majority of them Buddhist. Some small percentage Muslim. And then a few Christians. And some non-believer. So, you see, different tradition, I mean, these different tradition, so different concept, I cannot say, so generalize. But as far as Buddhism is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, then furthermore, the monks' rule in Vinaya, about 100 precepts, no, not precepts, some kind of rule, or how to dismiss, how to accept, like that, about 100 rules. So all 100 must carry a group of monk, bhikshu, at least 5 bhikshus. Otherwise, no matter how sort of important, like me, one individual monk, you see, cannot carry this work. Only a group of monk. So the democratic principle is there. Then also, you see, we're fully committed about, you see, I think modernization, including democracy. I think I may mention over 400 years, about 400 years, Dalai Lama institution, you see, take the both responsibility, temporal and spirituality. Since 5th Dalai Lama, this practice started. Since my childhood, I saw a lot of drawbacks with regent. Then, say, I developed conclusion: the power in few people's hand. So that's a mistake. So then, 1950, I took the responsibility, political responsibility. Then soon, I think around 1952, 53, I set up reform committee. So start some reform, but not very successful because of the circumstances. Then only after 59, when we reach India, at once I start some work more democratic way. Then 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. Then my position is a semi-retired position. Now 2011, I totally now retired. No political responsibility. So Lobsang Sangay, elected political leadership. So as far as sort of political matter is concerned, he is my boss. Age-wise, much younger. But then, because of this system, elected sort of leader, so I must respect, like that. However, the spiritual side, I'm his boss. Like that. So, my retirement, 2011, not only myself retired, but 4th-century-old tradition. Dalai Lama Institution automatically become head of both temple and spirituality. Now that formally, happily, voluntarily ended. So sometimes I jokingly say, telling my friend, if 5th Dalai Lama reappear, whether he agree or not, I doubt. But I have no worry. Now he never will come. Past is past.
Wonderful, please, yes. Can we have the mic up here, please?
I think the question is, I think real sort of message of religions, truthful, honest, love. So love means respect other. So the democracy also, you see, very much connected with respect other and love other, sense of concern of others' well-being. The totalitarians, dictators, just think their own interest or small circle sort of interest. So lack of compassion, lack of tolerance. So all middle religious tradition actually, you see, teach us love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance. Like that. Okay.
Your Holiness, I'm Joseph Cheng, convener of the Alliance for True Democracy in Hong Kong. As you know so well, our struggle for democracy has encountered serious difficulties. We probably cannot expect significant progress in the foreseeable future, in the near future. In fact, we have not been able to deliver much, in terms of results, despite our efforts in the past 2-3 decades. Yet, we are not going to give up.
Oh, yes.
We are going to insist on our peaceful, non-violent civil disobedience campaign. We would like to have some advice from you, and we also want to learn from Tibet. In what ways can we learn from your followers? Thank you very much.
That's difficult to sort of give suggestion. Very difficult, very complicated. But one thing I can share with you, no matter how difficult it is, keep your belief and your struggle. So eventually, you see, truth. Now I often, you see, expressing our struggle. Also, you see, a struggle between power of truth, power of gun. So for short term, power of gun is much more stronger. Long term, power of truth is more stronger. So please, you believe that and carry your work. Sometimes I think important, you see, should not let too much emotion. Reason, believe with reason, and pursue calmly. That's important. That's my experience. What do you think? Oh. Okay,
We'll
good.
try. We're going to take two more questions, one over here and then the gentleman standing over there. So right now, please, and then we're going to hear from the Sikyong Lobsang Sangay in closing.
Your Holiness, I'm Selima Ahmed from Bangladesh Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You said about humanity, you said about respect to people. Why, in a democratic nation, we women face inequality, face violence, face harassment? So what is your advice to the government or the people of the democratic nation that why that happens? And your advice?
Oh, female. Female.
Yeah.
Oh. I think here, long human sort of history, I believe. I think a few 100,000 years ago, I think we human